Peter Parker might be one of the brightest minds in the Marvel Comics universe, but we can argue that the old Parker luck combined with his firm moral fiber does more to hinder his super heroic efforts than aid them. But what if the gloves came off? What if Spider-Man removed all the limitations holding him back from realizing his true potential? What if Spider-Man became superior?
Hey, I need information. You can give it to me now.
Alright, chill.
Come on!
Stick around until the end of this video as we tell you about Superior Spider-Man and how this particular evolution of Marvel's resident arachnid-inspired hero went from your friendly neighborhood wall crawler to one of Earth 616's most effective, though admittedly controversial, protectors. Who is Superior Spider-Man? Superior Spider-Man is what happens when Peter Parker decides to be more fast and loose with his moral code, which is honestly a rather uncharacteristic thing for old Webhead to do. So the question is, how did this all come to be? It starts with a fateful encounter between Peter and one of his greatest enemies, Otto Octavius, aka Doctor Octopus, wherein the stout 8-limbed supervillain managed to unleash an insidious invention on the wallcrawler, his patented Octobot. Ultimately, this did a whole Freaky Friday thing on Peter and Otto, where they ended up switching bodies, resulting in Otto inhabiting Spidey's spry, young, web-swinging physique, while Peter got trapped in Doc Ock's frail, dying body. Of course, Peter wasn't just gonna take this travesty lying down. He eventually confronted Otto, but still failed to switch them back to their original bodies in the end. This is all thanks to the fact that Doctor Octavius, unsurprisingly, had the foresight to counter his own Octobot by altering Pete's Spidey suit to have a carbonadium helmet, which renders any psionic attacks against him useless. Simply put, Otto liked this new superpowered body of his, and he was here to stay. The best Pete could do at the time was use Otto's own Octobot to link their minds with each other. Still a far cry from the original result he was hoping for. In a last-ditch effort, Peter used this mind link to make Otto experience all the suffering that he went through as Spider-Man and Peter before the body he's inhabiting, Doc Ock's disease-ridden husk, shuffled off the mortal coil. Ultimately, Peter seemingly died along with Otto's body, but there's a silver lining here. Doc Ock, after reliving Pete's experience in his own mind, vows to continue his legacy as Spider-Man. In fact, the now reformed villain even promises that he'll do a better job taking care of New York than Pete ever did. He will become the Superior Spider-Man. Why Superior Spider-Man is superior? For all intents and purposes, Doc Ock basically gained all the powers that Pete had as Spider-Man when he took over Spidey's body. There's the enhanced strength and agility that came with a body bitten by a radioactive spider, there's the wall crawling, and of course, the most valuable of Spidey's abilities, his spider sense. Otto treated this new body as his kind of magnificent canvas, brimming with potential, one that he can use to fulfill his promise to Peter of becoming superior to him in every way. For starters, Otto didn't just turn the trademark red and blue Spidey costume into a more svelte black and red, he enhanced it to the point that it allowed Otto to be the most efficient protector of New York. First, there's the carbonadium lining that he used on Spider-Man's mask. This didn't just prevent Peter from successfully switching their bodies back to their original owners, it allowed Otto to become impervious to any and all psionic and telepathic attacks. Basically, he turned the Spidey mask into his very own Magneto helmet. Not even the likes of Professor X can touch him. Otto also outfitted the Superior Spider-Man suit with sharp, retractable talons to make him more efficient in hand-to-hand combat. That said, we're kind of seeing a pattern here. Otto must have a thing for the X-Men, I guess. Kidding aside, these new lethal weapons that he installed in the Spidey suit aren't just good for slicing and stabbing at enemies. Otto Octavius, being the genius that he is, used this opportunity to load his new Spidey claws with spider-shaped nanobots that get injected into his target's bodies when his talon strikes connect. And these microscopic robots are invasive to say the least. For one, the Superior Spider-Man uses these nanobots to track their target via GPS. But more insidious is the fact that Otto even loaded these microscopic spider bots with toxins that can incapacitate, or even worse, physically torture their target the moment they enter their bloodstream. Now, just because Otto dropped the whole Doc Ock shtick doesn't mean that he's forgotten his roots. Even as the Superior Spider-Man, Doctor Octavius didn't forget to install additional appendages to his costume, which comes in the form of 4 mechanical spider arms attached to the back of his suit. It's reminiscent of Pete's old Iron Spider costume from back in the original Civil War storyline, not to mention that it's not too much of a stretch to imagine that Otto did this also to pay homage towards his Doc Ock name. What separates this from the two old gadgets is how, like his talons, Superior Spider-Man's mechanical arms also have needle tips that inject the same aforementioned nanobots. But perhaps the most significant tool that Otto employed during his stint as Spider-Man was when he unleashed an entire army of Spider-Bots to patrol the streets of New York. These little critters scurried and crawled around the Big Apple, alerting Otto of any and all kind of crime happening around his city. Simply put, the Superior Spider-Man turned New York City into his very own police state. Of course, we'd be wrong not to mention the other subtler improvements he placed on the spider suit, such as a HUD display for his lenses, communication devices on his wrists, and gadget activation buttons on his chest. They're not as exciting, but they no less contribute to how Superior Spider-Man proved himself to be, well, superior to the OG in nearly every way. Oh, and did we mention that Superior Spider-Man has no problem shooting your face with a gun? Because that's exactly what he did during one of his crime-fighting sprees. Superior Spidey's intellectual superiority. Not to dump on Peter, after all, he is a gifted individual, but Otto proved himself to one-up the original web slinger in the academic field too. Yes, Peter Parker was smart, but he's a student compared to the likes of all big-brain nerds like Reed Richards, Bruce Banner, and yeah, Otto Octavius himself. While in Pete's body, Otto pretty much lived his deceased nemesis' old life. But that wasn't enough for the Superior Spider-Man. He had to prove that he was better than Peter ever was at everything. So what's a reformed evil genius to do? Why, enroll at Empire State University to grab a doctorate, of course, and believe us when we say that Otto turned the whole academic ordeal into a cakewalk. And without Peter Parker's bad luck to hinder him, we're pretty sure Otto cleared all those student debts in no time. The Superior Lover. Otto's stint as Marvel's wall crawler extended far beyond his crime-fighting efforts too. He's also proven himself to be quite the superior lover. Sure, a casual fan might think that Peter Parker is a classic one-woman man, given that his relationship with Mary Jane Watson has become a cornerstone of the character's mythos. But if you dive deeper into Spidey's lore, you'll easily find out that, well, Peter has got some F-boy tendencies to him, to put it bluntly. Yes, MJ is Pete's ride or die, but boy did the OG webhead have a lot of rides before settling down with the spunky redhead. He's made the rounds with the likes of Gwen Stacy, Betty Brant, villains like Felicia Hardy, and even had a fling with the X-Men's Kitty Pryde. Otto, on the other hand, is one devoted dude. While attending ESU, he met a woman named Anna Maria Marconi, a fellow post-grad student whom he immediately fell head over heels for. The two sparked a romantic relationship, and it carried up until Peter eventually regained control of his body from Otto. And if you're wondering just how hard Otto fell for Anna, look no further than the fact that he even gave Aunt May a right old scolding after the lady made some offhanded remarks about her height. Now, if that doesn't scream love, we don't know what does. Superior Spider-Man, Lethal Protector. Beyond the tools of the trade, beyond the academic excellence, there's one quality that makes Superior Spider-Man a far more effective superhero than Peter Parker, and that's Otto's ruthless single-mindedness in his mission. Don't get us wrong, Superior Spider-Man still follows that classic adage, with great power comes great responsibility, but Otto has taken it to the point that Peter never could have imagined. Simply put, Superior Spider-Man has no qualms about dealing permanent damage to his adversaries, or in some cases outright offing them to prevent them from doing any further harm to his city. You wouldn't be entirely wrong to think that Otto as Superior Spider-Man is not unlike Frank Castle, aka the Punisher. But whereas the skull emblem-clad anti-hero is more akin to a rabid dog that's willing to bite anything and everything he thinks is a criminal, Superior Spider-Man tackles his crime-fighting efforts with a more rational approach. Think of it this way, Frank Castle will kill you even for a misdemeanor like jaywalking. Superior Spidey, on the other hand, knows when to weigh his options. If your jaywalking would lead to a massive car scramble that would end up blocking the road for a truck carrying nuclear warheads, it's safe to say that Otto would let you cross that street illegally. But let's look at the stats. For one, Superior Spider-Man doesn't hold back when facing the wall crawler's classic rogues gallery. Instead of subduing the likes of Mac Gargan aka Scorpion in hopes of reforming them at the raft, Otto made sure that he'd learn his lesson by straight up breaking the villain's jaw. Then, there's his face-off with Adrian Toomes, the Vulture. Otto was well aware that this was some kind of supervillain who heavily relied on mobility. Sure, he could have simply clipped the Vulture's wings, it's the obvious choice to stop a flying avian-themed villain, after all. But that would just leave room for him to build another pair once he's free. So, Superior Spider-Man chose the most efficient option, blind the man. These actions are things that Peter wouldn't remotely even consider in the direst of situations, but to the Superior Spider-Man, it's just business as usual. And let's not forget about Marcus Lyman, aka Massacre. He's a mentally broken spree killer whom Otto deemed to be too far gone to reform. So what did he do in this case? Simple. He killed the crazed maniac. No ifs, no buts, no spider gadgetry, just a simple bullet to the head that will save scores of lives in the process. There's also the fact that Superior Spider-Man is not beneath employing underhanded tactics when it comes to thwarting the criminal elements of the Marvel Universe. The best example of this is when he agreed to similarly execute the supervillain Alistair Smythe after trying to incite a riot at the raft. All of this was orchestrated between Superior Spider-Man and J. Jonah Jameson. Superior Spider-Man crosses the line and takes a villain off the board, but it doesn't stop there. He uses this to dig up dirt on New York's mayor. Otto recorded a video of all of this and used it to blackmail J. Jonah. In return for doing the dirty, unconstitutional work of executing Smythe, Otto is rewarded with the raft, using it as his very own lair from which he manufactured an army of huge mechanical spider-bots to help him patrol the city. He didn't stop there either. Superior Spider-Man founded his own paramilitary group called the Spiderlings, a group of mercenaries under his command which he used to protect New York from its criminals. Superior Spider-Man isn't just a superhero, he's a warlord, and simply superior.